Hi friends, my name is Liz, and if you're new around here, we do a butt ton of beauty related content and mainly makeup tutorials, which is what you're about to see. Today is episode 6 of my Inspired series, and we're going to be doing Lola Young. So this is the makeup that's inspired me the most. I was scrolling through Pinterest and she has quite a few looks that are similar, and there's quite a few looks prior to her going viral that I really like too, so I'm thinking of doing that sometime in the future as well. But this one I feel like is her iconic. This is Lola Young makeup. I really had fun doing it. I think I've built a cheek that is my favorite thing I've ever done in my life. So I hope that you enjoy this makeup tutorial, and if you want to learn how I created this makeup inspired by Lola Young, then please keep on watching. Alrighty, so we're going to start with some skin first, then do the eyes, then finish the skin, because my skin is feeling extra dry, and I want to make sure that we do this makeup properly. Lola has really beautiful skin, so I'm going to take some serumizer first and just get this down. Like, I had this on this morning when I got out of the shower, but it's later in the afternoon, so I just want to get some more on. I'm going to take a bit of the balm as well. I'm going to take a bit of a lip mask to get that extra bit of hydration in. My lips have been so dry with this change of weather. Then to let all of that sit, I'm going to do just a spray of Magic Radiance. And then we'll let that sit so I can go ahead and do the eyes. So I'm going to do one off camera and I'll be back. As always, you want to start off with an eye base. This is the MAC 24 Hour. First, I'm going to create a little bit of depth on the waterline and tightline. Lola doesn't have black as far as I can see, so I'm going to go in with this brown. This is called Skip the Waitlist, and it's kind of like a light metallic brown. It's really pretty, and I'm just going to put that in the tightline of my eye as well as my waterline. Always makes my eyes water. Alright, so the first eyeshadow I'm going to go in with is Shroom from MAC, and I'm going to take it on a big fluffy brush. This I'm going to push in underneath my eyebrow, the highest point, and then blend it downwards and inwards. And then I'm going to take that on the center of the lid. Very messy. This is not specific placement. I just want that lightness in the center of the lid and underneath the eyebrow. The next shadow I'm taking is called Sable, and it is a metallic kind of shimmery brown. It's called a Frost from MAC. I don't believe this is still available, but you could just take your bronzer as well. And I did consider doing that, but then I was like, no, you know what, I'm just going to use my makeup. So with this, I'm placing it into the crease area, as well as the inner and outer corner of the lid. Going back in with Shroom on that same brush, and this is just going to go over the top pretty much. It's just going to help to blend it all out. Then I'm going to take this shade here. This is called P is for Pink, and it's a Dazzle Shadow Extreme. It does have a pink reflect in it, but when I put it on my eye, it kind of doesn't bring that pink through. It's just kind of like a more intense version of Shroom. And I'm just using my finger to place that in the center of the lid. And then I'm going to tap over everything with what's left on my finger. But I want the main intensity in the center. The next thing I'm going to do purely is for the placement of the eyelashes. I'm going to do a teeny tiny eyeliner on the top lid. Now you could go in and do this a few different ways. You could use a pencil, you could use an eyeshadow, you could use this to create a wing depending on the size of the lash. Lola has massive eyelashes, and this was the closest one that I had in my stash that gave that full on look to kind of match as best I could. So I'm actually going to go in with this. Now, I'm not a fan of these kinds of eyeliners. This is the MAC Liquid Last 24-Hour Waterproof liner, and it's in the shade Point Black. Now, it's small, which is better out of the other ones that I have tried, it's only teeny tiny, so you do have a little bit more control. I'm just not a fan of the packaging. The liner itself is lovely. It dries pretty fast as well, so you just want to make sure that you're not taking too long talking. But all I'm going to do is just line as close to my lashes as possible, and I'm not taking it into the inner corner. I just kind of really wanted there on the lash line, and that's it. I'm going to go in with some mascara. This is the MAC Stack in black, just a normal one. I'm going over my lashes pretty straight away because a bit of that eyeliner did get on there. So I'm just gonna pull that out. Alright, so from here we're going to go on with the lashes. So Lola doesn't have a lot going on with the eyes. She just has that definition because she's got those lashes on. So like I said, the lashes that I have aren't exactly the same. If anything, mine are a little bit more intense because hers are a little bit more sparse and a little bit more spiky. But this was the closest I had to come close. The other set that I did have actually had butterflies on them, and I thought about it because it is something that Lola would wear, but I just decided to go against it for today. But these are the lashes. I found these on Shein ages ago. I couldn't even tell you, there's no number on them, there's nothing, it's literally just lashes and plastic. So I'm gonna find one to pop on and fill in my eyebrow. I'm only going to just put a little bit of pencil through because her eyebrows are not very defined in this specific makeup look. Alrighty, so now that the eyes are done, this is where we're at, and these lashes are absolutely huge and they tickle my eyelids. I don't know how people wear these ones. They're so curly. If they weren't so curly, it would be fine, but these are like curled up. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's start off with the skin. So first thing that we're going to do is go in with some Magic Radiance primer from MAC, and I'm just going to take a teeny tiny little dot there. I want this in the center of my face, so I'm really only just going to put that on my cheeks and my nose, my forehead and my chin, kind of just, you know, T-zone area. Alright, so we are going in with a cream bronzer. This is from NARS and it is in the shade Casino, and I'm taking my normal foundation brush from MCO Beauty. Now this I want to really go in quite dramatically because Lola's cheeks are always quite done up. So I'm taking that in my cheekbones. I'm also taking that just in the middle of my forehead. I'm leaving this part here empty. It helps with the shape to bring my forehead down because of my hairline. And a tiny little bit under my neck, but that's, I don't think she does that, I don't know. So I'm just going to tap that out a smidge, not a lot. Then for blush, I'm going in with this pink shade. This is called Heat Index. It's a Glow Play blush. I don't know if this is still around or if this was just limited for this collection, but I am packing that into my brush because Lola has beautifully blushed cheeks and I love it. So we're going all the way with this today. And I'm taking a little bit on my nose, just a little bit. Next up, I'm going to go in with some concealer. I'm going to take the peachy shade first, just on my finger, and this is going to go underneath my eyes just to help correct anything that's going on down there. I probably should have laid this down first, actually. Very well. I'm just tapping that into the Heat Index blush. It's just helping to get rid of any harsh edges. I kind of feel like I look like a Furby. I think I look like a Furby. Do you guys remember this? Anyway, then I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow tone, or the brightening tone, and just go over the top of that. Same process, but I'm focusing this more in the center here. So I'm going to go in with a bit of Radiance Fix Plus. For my foundation, I'm going in with Studio Tech. So it looks like this, just cream foundation, but actually you could kind of just use whatever you want at this point. But you only need a teeny tiny little bit. And I'm going to start, where am I going to start? The center of my face, I think. Start pushing that in over the top. I'm going to finish this and I'll be back. Alright, so my foundation is all blended in, everything's blended out, and I'm really, really happy. So this is our base layer. What I'm going to do is go in with another spritz of Radiance. Give that a second to set. My fan is gone again. Don't know where it is, so we're just going to use a mirror, as usual. So it's at this point we're going to go in and do freckles, because in my mind, I'm not fabulous at doing freckles. The only product that I like to do freckles with is this one. I've tried a few different ones. This is the MCO Beauty Freckle Pen. It's just the right shade for my skin tone. And Lola has quite a lot of freckles along her nose, and that's why I put quite a bit of blush on my nose as well, because it kind of, in the photo that I'm trying to replicate, it kind of looks almost like sunburnt skin. So here definitely needs to be matching with the cheeks. So the first layer is done, foundation's done. Now we're going to do a layer of freckles. I've seen a few people do things differently. I'm just going to put some somewhere, if I can open it. It looks like this. It's old, I've had it for a little while. I'm probably due for another one, if I'm honest with you. I'm actually just going to wipe the tip to make sure that there's no fluff on it, because I can see that there's a bit of fluff. Alright, so I'm just going to put some freckles on. They look dark at the minute, but just bear with me, alright? And then there's only one freckle that I actually do for myself, and it's a teeny tiny little mole here. And that one I'm going to keep as dark as I normally do. So, because it's like an ink pen, almost like a texture kind of vibes, make sure that you keep it shut. Same with like your brush stroke liners from MAC. I always make sure that I've had it upside down so that it doesn't dry out, but you got to also make sure that it dries. I can feel that this one's still wet, so I'm going to give this a second to dry, and then we're going to go in with our powders. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to go in with is a matte contour powder. So I'm going to use this. This is the light to medium Studio Fix Sculpt palette. What it looks like here on the inside, and I'm going to take a mix of these two. I'm going to take that on a fluffy brush. This is just the MCO Beauty powder brush. Just mixing them together. I don't want much of this. This is more going to act as like our bronze contour, because I feel like we're going to go for more of a, is it blush? Bronzer and blush? I've spoken about it before, words are hard, I can't remember, but it's kind of more of a draping. I just want to make sure that I have a little bit of definition going along the side of my face, otherwise the bronzer that we put down underneath the foundation just kind of loses its vibe. Also making it fit my face, so just a teeny tiny little bit just to set that area. I'm also going to take a little bit along my hairline, because I think I've explained it in a couple of videos before, but just in case you haven't seen it, because I have my widow's peak, I put my darker kind of in the uppy bits of my hairline to kind of even that out, because I don't like it, and I can't wear a middle part to cover it. It just doesn't suit me. I've tried. So I've got to place mine differently. I also do put a bit of bronzer underneath my chin, so make sure that you're setting that. And whatever you put on the neck, make sure you blend all the way down to make sure that there's no harsh lines. I'm going to go in with Give Me Sun next on the same brush, not much at all, and just kind of layer that. I'm building that dimensional cheek. Lola has definitely got the draping, the dimension, the multi kind of like look. I guess, I don't really know what you would call her, kind of like her style of cheek. But we're So for blush, because we have the pink underneath, I want to make sure that we're still pulling in those pinky red tones without obviously looking like we've got circular blush on our cheeks. I know that there are some photos that I did see of Lola where she had that stripe. That's not what we're trying to recreate today. You've seen the photo, but I do want to bring in that element. So I'm going to go in with this shade here. This is from MAC and it was a part of the Stranger Things collection, and it's called He Likes It Cold, and it's just this matte kind of muted red, and it is so pigmented. I think when I have used this previously, I've said that it's pigmented, but I mean it's pigmented, so teeny tiny little bit. And I'm going to tap that lightly first over the cheek, front of the cheeks, so we're going over those freckles. And then we're going to take what's left on the brush and pat it up along the sides of the temples so that we're connecting and pulling that dimension of color up into the underpainting that we had laid down. And remember, you've got lots of layers on at this point, so you want to make sure that you're pressing it in first before you start blending. Next, I'm going to go in with the Radiant Light Rosy and kind of meld the two of those together. And then we're going to go in with more. So I have this little palette here. This is called the Extra Dimension Trio in Pearlescence. And this came out with the Pearlescence collection a couple years ago. We're going to use this as a blush and that as a highlight. But these are more, I would say this pink is more of like a blush topper. And I wanted to use this over the top of that matte blush because the Extra Dimension Skin Finishes just sits so nicely on my skin, and it works so well as a topper over this shade because it pulls the pink out of the red and then they kind of like mute each other down, if that makes sense. It's a lovely combination. And with this topper, that is what I'm going to push over my nose so that everything's connected. I'm going to switch brushes just to a smaller fluffy brush and take the lightest Extra Dimension Skin Finish shade and just a teeny tiny little bit, just on the front part of my cheek, more so than the back. I'm also underneath the outer corner of my eye. I'm going to go back into the Sculpt and Highlight palette, and I'm going to take a mix of the top three, and I've switched brushes to the Real Techniques setting brush, and I'm using this because this is going to go underneath my eyes, and I just really want to make sure that I'm set with coverage in specific areas before we go anywhere else. So for this, I want it in between my eyebrows because for me, I have texture, but it is also where I start to see my makeup break down first, right here in the center of my face. I wear glasses, so my nose, the bridge of my nose, underneath my eyes and in between my eyebrows break down the fastest. So I put the most powder in these areas. I was watching Miss Megan, and I tend to watch her on repeat because every time I watch one of her videos, I pick up something new that she said. I usually just have her on as like background noise. And there was one that I was watching the other night where she said, I think she was putting her Studio Fix powder underneath in her under eye area. And she said that she would much prefer to have too much there and it break down and still have the product there than not have enough on there and have it break down so fast that there's nothing there to continue to break down. She likes her worn in kind of style of makeup, which I don't particularly like worn in makeup, but that does make a lot of sense in my brain. So I pack it on in this area, and a lot of the times I don't show you how much I actually put on unless I'm talking while I'm doing it. So you guys are seeing exactly how much I'm putting on in the center of my face today. I'm gonna go in with another spray of Radiance. I'm just gonna use my fan to dry that. And then we're going to have a close-up of the skin. So the reason why we did the freckles in the different layers was so that we could see how intense we needed to put the final layer on, and whether or not we would use the same product or something different, because some people like to use shadow. I've seen some people use a matte bronzer with a bit of Fix Plus. Really depends on how comfortable you are wearing your freckles, honestly. This will be the first time I've worn freckles like this, and I feel fine with it, so I'm not worried too much at all. But I hope that you can see that close up, you can see them. But from far away you lose that effect. So if you're wanting to have that freckled effect, this is where you will put some more on. So I'm going to do a couple more, not as many as before, and with a lighter hand. I want to make sure that the one under my eye, the one that I always have the darkest, is there. Then the last thing that I'm going to do after I've let those freckles set is I'm going to go back in with that pink blush topper. Well, it's an Extra Dimension Skin Finish blush thing out of the trio. But I'm going to go back in with a bit more of that on that same brush we used to apply it, and just go over the top one more time to make sure that we didn't lose any of that intensity. And this layering effect gives different shades to the freckles, so it really does help to make it look real. Alright, so the last thing that we're going to do to keep everything in place is use Fix Plus Stay Over. Alright, so the lip is the last thing that we're going to do today, and I'm really excited to give this one a go. I know I've shown you in the intro, but this is the lip that we're going to try and recreate. So I have gone through my stash of lip products, and there's a lot, so it took me a little while. And I think, now I didn't do any googling, so I don't know what was used. I'm just kind of going off of site, and I think I've worked out how to achieve it. So I'm just going to wipe off what was left of that lip mask. Alright, so I have two lip liners from MAC. I've got Caviar and I've got Chestnut. I'm going to go in with Chestnut first. I'm going to go in with Chestnut first just to get where I want the line, because it's darker and it is a specific type of lip. I'm not going to be able to recreate her shaped lips on my own. It's just not going to work. So I'm going to work with mine. And when I have darker liner, I tend to use my inner lip line, not my outer lip line, if that makes sense. So I'm going to spend a bit of time just putting this base color where I want it. One of the things that I also love about this lip look is that there is no blending, and I think that's really, really cool. So, oh, I look crazy. The two lipsticks that I am stuck between are, what is that? Folio, that I think I can blend into Truth Be Untold. That's where my brain is at. I'm thinking this is probably going to be the closest color to what was in that photo from when I like look at it next to each other. If anything, I think she might be a little bit darker actually. Give me a second. Okay, what I've come up with is I think I'm going to use a mixture of these two shades here. So this is from it's up here on the channel, Luxe Luck collection. It's the shade Timeless Taupe, and I'm going to mix that in with a bit of Truth Be Untold. So I'll start with the darkest one first. I don't want too much on there because we're going to go in with so many different colors. Oh, that's the wrong lid. Give this one a go. That does bring a bit of the pink to it, but it doesn't bring enough. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of Folio just to lighten up, not so much the center so it's an ombre, but just to lighten it up enough, because then we're gonna go in with the last lip liner as well. Okay, so we're gonna go in with Caviar. And we're going to go over the top of the chestnut lip liner because we've already marked out where we want the darkness, and it is a straight line. So give me some time. I think I figured out what's missing. I need to bring that color, that pinkness into the lip from the cheek. So I'm going to go back in with the Go Play blush in Heat Index, and I'm just going to tap that. Alright, I think we're there. Alrighty guys, that is it for this makeup tutorial. I really hope that you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions or if there is a celebrity makeup look that you would like me to recreate for you for this series. I'm really enjoying just continuing on with this. Creative freedom, I'm loving it, and I really like how this looks actually, even though my eyes are really itchy because my lashes are itching my eyelids. I think I could go downtown like this. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day or night wherever you are and whenever you're watching this, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.